Okay guys, we're going to talk about automating everything that we went over in the previous video. Trust me, you don't want to be liking and having to get sore thumbs on a list that's 800, 900, 1,000 usernames long. Your thumbs will get sore when you're posting 3 times a day. It's not the point to be spending multiple hours per day building your Instagram. This opportunity is all about creating time, income, money, automation without having to work 10, 20 hours a day, okay? You shouldn't even be having to work 3 hours a day. So this part is really going to free up your thumbs, keep you from getting arthritis, and keep you from having to spend tons of time on this process. So what we're actually going to be able to do is automate not only our Telegram rounds, but we can also automate our direct message groups on Instagram. So we don't really have to do a whole lot of manual work at any point during the day at all. So I'm going to walk you through that, and trust me, this is very necessary. The best software currently available for what we're going to be doing here is called Follow Liker. You can click the link below, you can get Follow Liker. Trust me, it will save you a world of time, and you can manage about 10, 15 accounts fairly easily with Follow Liker. Now, we're going to be phasing in Millionaire Mafia software to be able to manage these aspects of your account, plus Blitzagram later on. So we'll actually have a couple different softwares you can utilize. So once that becomes available for you guys, this video will be switched out, and you'll then be actually using our software instead of Follow Liker, much easier. Plus you'll be able to manage dozens and dozens of accounts, up to about 75, very easily without actually having to log into them one by one. So until then, Follow Liker is going to be your best friend for now, and I'm going to show you how you would implement that. So say I had just dropped in Instagains, Boost Likes, IG Likes, Fuelgram, all of these different groups, and my list is bound to be 800, 1,000, 1,200 long. So here's what would happen. Say I just did the 12 noon round. So the list is about to compile here right at noon, and you can see it says FL list 1 of 2, and then you go a little farther down and it would say FL list 2 of 2, and then here's the manual list if you wanted to copy and paste these and DM them to yourself on Instagram and go through and manually like. You'd have to do this on just this Instagains, and then you'd have to go over and do it in every single other group that you went in, and then if they require reporting done, you'd have to report done, and that just takes a long time. So I wouldn't recommend doing that. What you would do is you would right click and you'd highlight these lists, and then you would copy them, okay? And then you'd go over to Google Sheets. You just type in Google Spreadsheets right on Google, okay? It's free, and you'd click blank. And here's what we'd want to do. We're going to use a column A and a column B. Column A is going to keep all of our usernames that we have. So you will click column A here, and then you'll right click and you will paste all of those users into column A. So I'm going to paste them. Column B is going to say user's photo. So I'll click column B here, and we're just going to type in user's photo. There we go. Now we're going to take this right here, and see this little square right at the bottom? We're going to drag this down. You always want to make sure column B is longer than column A. So let's see, we got just a little bit farther to go. In this case, the list is 262 long, so you just put it a couple past this. And very important, you go back up, and if there is a split list like that, where it says FL list 2 of 2, you have to get this out of here. So you'd click here, and you'd right click, and then you would click delete row. And now, this is all fine. Now say I had participated, like I said, in Boost Likes and Instagains, Fuelgram, all these. What I would then do is I would just click here and I would paste in the list for Fuelgram. Then I would go down to where that ends and I'd paste the list for IG Likes and IG Evolve and so on. And then I would just take this and I'd make sure that I'm making it longer. And then what you would do is you would just call this, I would just call it March 6th list, and then I would save this. I would go File, Download As, comma separated value sheet, CSV. You have to do a CSV. So I click that, and then typically what I do is I just click show in folder to make sure that I know exactly where it is. Alright, and it's right there. And what I'll do is I'll just put it in my documents, just so I know that it's right there. Just bring over to documents. Boom. It's in my documents. Then I would close this out. We're going to open up Follow Liker. So Follow Liker, like I said, you can click the link below this video, get Follow Liker. When we switch to our own Millionaire Mafia software, you'll be using that. For the time being, you'll have Follow Liker, and what you'll do is you'll open up Follow Liker, and it's going to show something like this, except when you get into it, you're not going to have any accounts in here. So to add an account, all you simply would do is this white screen here, you'd right click, new, and then it would populate putting in your username and your password. See where this says proxy? You want to incorporate a proxy if you are using more than 5 accounts, because think about it, Instagram is smart. They know that you're using automation. You can only log into 5 accounts on your mobile app presently with Instagram. So we have to kind of mirror that when we're managing accounts in any sort of automation software. Once we have beyond 5 coming from the same IP address, Instagram knows we're using automation. They probably know anyways, but to make sure that it is appearing as organic engagement, you want to make sure that you've got a proxy paired up for every 5 accounts. So you get 5, you're good. When you get past 5, you put in 1 proxy for every 5 accounts. Make sure that you're using high quality proxies, and we can put some more information in our resources tab about where to get high quality proxies, so make sure to check there as well. So now that you've added your account, here is what you're going to do. So say for example Millionaire Mafia, you right click it, you'll go down to custom settings and click wizard. This is going to open up your settings to adjust. Make sure that you do not have show advanced options. You do not want that on. All you're simply going to do is click scrape photo and like. Then you're going to click next. You want to make sure that scrape photo limit is set to 1 and scrape only top result. So here is what I would do now. This is a previous list that I had, for example, so I want to get this out of here. I ran this list from, a few weeks ago, for example. I ran this list. This was one of my round times during one of those particular days, because they're always going to be changing. You can't use the same list every day. It's going to be a different list every time you post. So I delete all these. Yes, I'm sure I want to delete them. I would right click, and then I would click import. Then I would go to my documents, and I would type in March 6, and it would preload if I can find my list. March 6th list. Boom. And sometimes what will happen, say for example, it didn't do it with this list because I only had one round group I was pulling it from, but say for example I'd done IG likes and Insta gains, what's going to happen is there's a lot of duplicate members. So see where it says photo focused? Photo focused could have dropped in Insta gains and could have dropped in IG likes, and my list on my CSV file could have been, say, 386 users long. But by the time I imported it into Follow Liker, it dropped down to 332, and you're thinking, wait, something must be wrong. Why did it do that? Well, Follow Liker will automatically delete duplicate usernames in the case that the same user dropped in both IG likes and Insta gains and IG Evolve, Fuel, Gram, Boost likes, and so on. So it'll delete duplicates. So once you see it in here, this is the list you're working with. Now what you would do, you'd right click the very top one and you would click edit. You want to make sure that this says user's photo, and then you would click save, right click, copy properties to other queries, click yes. Okay, boom, now that's done. Now you would go next, and do you see how my list is 262 long? I need to set my like limit between about 220 and 270. The reason being, some users are going to be lazy. So out of that 262 people that dropped on that particular list, well, a certain portion of them probably haven't reposted. So they're going to be getting they're going to be getting more likes to a post that they perhaps posted yesterday. Well, what that means is if somebody had previously liked that photo, it's going to try to re-like it again and follow liker. And if there were 262 users in it, it can only like 261 because it's already liked one of those in the past. So you want to leave some room for that. If there were, say, perhaps 40 users who didn't end up reposting, then it's going to go try to like 40 posts that it's already liked in the past. So if you had 262, it's only going to like 222. So you're going to want to leave yourself some room for that, because if you put the bottom end of your like limit too high, it's not going to work properly. So you set it to 220 to 270. Now, then you run it. For example, say this is my first post of the day. If I go to participate in more rounds a second time later during the day and my list is 500, I'm going to have to add 500 here and 500 here. So it's going to go up to 720 and 770. See what I mean? If you keep it here, you're going to try to run it, and it's going to say that your like limit has already been reached for the day because you have it set to the earlier round's like limit. So you want to make sure that if it's your second time for posting a day, make sure that you up this. So if that second list that you add in there, you switch out your list from earlier and you add your next one, make sure that you add whatever the amount is on that list, just add it here. And you can be round. Say your first list is 300 and your second list is 800. Well, you would have had like 280 and 320. Well, now you just add, another few hundred to it. So now it's going to be 780 and 820 or 840 or something. That makes sense. And then your delay like. You want to delay the like between 1 to 2 seconds or even 1 to 3 seconds. Keep it somewhere in there. Next. Now I'm done. Now I would click finish and then I would click start. And now it's going to start that. And if you want to make sure that it's working, because often people will be like, well, I want to make sure that it's working. How do I know when it's done? So all you would do is right click here and then you would click statistics and it will tell you how many likes that it has done that day, and then also like how many followers you've gained. This is accurate though, so you can start seeing, you'll like refresh and come back and it'll go from 1 to 7 to 38, 142 and so on. When it reaches the point where, say your list was 262 and it's liked 257 and it seems to have stopped, don't worry, that just means that there were a few that it tried to like but they'd already been liked from a previous round. So if it stops there, you can assume that it's probably finished. If you really want to double check that, then all you would do is you would go into custom settings and click wizard, and then you would bring out this list and you'd look at the first person on it, the first username, and then you would look at the last username. You'd go over, you'd hop on your app here, you'd open it up, and you'd make sure that it appeared that you liked both of those. If it did, you're good. You won't really have to get so nitty-gritty with that and be constantly keeping your eyes on it and making sure. The process should be that you make your post, you share it to your DMs, you grab your list, put it in your CSV, import it into Follow Liker, set your settings, and run it. Go do your thing, whatever you'd like to do. A lot of the groups don't even require that you report done. So as long as you're doing this correctly, you're good. But if the groups require that you report done, then you're going to want to make sure that within an hour and a half of that list compiling, so if it's 9, 12, or 3 Eastern Standard Time, you have to make sure that those groups that are requiring that you report done, that you do so. And you only have typically 90 minutes in most of those groups. So if it's 9, 12, and 3 Eastern Standard Time, you've got to report done by 10:30, 1:30, and 4:30. If you don't, then there's a chance that you could get banned. So this is how you use Follow Liker, and this is really going to free up a lot of your time. If you have any questions on this at all, you can always ask in our Facebook chat and in our Telegram discussion groups as well. So we'll really help you out there. We've got tons of members that are actively using this and know how to use it very well. So once you get set up and going, it is pretty basic. So have fun with that, and feel free to pause and repeat this video if you need to do so to get the hang of it. One other thing to keep in mind is, like all softwares, IG is always doing updates, so subsequently Follow Liker has to do updates. If it ever says that it needs an update, please allow it to do an update to make sure that it continues to run in the way that it needs to do so. And one last thing that I want to talk about in this video, a couple things actually, is automating direct message groups. So here's kind of a cool thing, is say I have engagement groups, and just say I'm in 20 of them, for example, and they all have 15 users. So it's going to be me, obviously, as one of those 15 in each, and then possibly 14 other unique accounts in each group. So I might have, 200-300 users that I'm trying to always like and comment on. Now, in direct message groups, they're not always going to be active, but if you want to help spur the growth of that and also automate it, so even those inactive users start to see you engage, and they go, gosh, okay, I better engage back. Here's what I recommend. You would sit down one day with all your DM groups, and you'd open them up, and you'd look at all the users in them. You'd just write them all down, or log them directly on a CSV in column A. And then in column B, you'd put user's photo. So you'd make a CSV just like I showed for the rounds. It'd be no different, except you'd hold on to that CSV, because it's not very often once you have your DM group set up. Yeah, you might manage it here and there. You might leave one and make another and so on. But for the most part, that list is going to stay the same. So why not automate that as well? So you don't have to manually like, comment, and go and check and do all this different stuff. All you'll have to do is share your photo to the DM groups, but you won't have to manually like and comment back throughout the day. Here's what I would do. At some point, before or after my rounds for the day or something, this is what I would do. I would pop this open right here. I'd go to custom settings. I'd click wizard. I would keep all of this the same, except I would add comment right there. And then I would go next. And I would take this list out. I would delete all of them, and I would add my DM group list. My DM for all of my DM groups. It'd be one list. And then I would click next. I would set this limit to whatever that is. Once again, if you've already done rounds for the day, and say you've liked say you've liked 890 users or something, and your DMs are 110 long. Well, set this like limit between 900 and something and 1100 to make sure that you can allow for it, that Follow Liker will allow for it for that day. You got to just make sure that if you don't actually, I'm going to click out of here, if you don't actually reset the statistics here, then you need to make sure that you are upgrading your like limit proportionally so that it doesn't stop. So I would just go in, scrape photo, like, and I would set to comment. Then I would click next in here. I would take out this list and I would put in the CSV that I have made for my engagement groups. Then I would click next. I would set this proportionally. I would leave delay like 1 to 2 seconds or 1 to 3 seconds. And then I would put my comments, whatever the comments are. So if I have 110 users for my DMs, I would put like 100 to 120 comments. And then delay comment, you can do like 1 to 15 seconds. Obviously with that, it's going to take a little bit longer to finish these activities, so maybe you do it after your last round of the day. That way there's not going to be any interruption between doing this for your engagement groups and then doing your rounds. And what you want to do is you could add a new comment. So you put, wow, this is really cool, love the pic, and then you'd save it. And you put new, one of my most favorite profiles on IG, and save. and so on. And you might add, say, 15. And then you click next, finish, and then you would run it. Now what that enables you to do is automate your engagement groups and automate your Telegram rounds. Now those comments are going to be set up on a spin tax, which means it'll rotate through from comment A to B to C to D, A, B, C, D, and so on. So I suggest you put, enough in there to rotate through, with only putting through the same comments maybe at the most 10 times a day. That way you don't get blocked by Instagram from commenting the same thing over and over. So it keeps you in a safe zone. Now, say for example, you were doing the same engagement and you had like 5 different accounts and you were doing the same rounds with every single one of them. If you happen to be doing that, you could simply right click this and you could go to custom settings and click copy to other accounts. So it would take that list that you've put in for that particular round or those direct message groups, and it would copy it to every single other account that you have in Follow Liker. And that way you wouldn't have to go through and manually do all that. So this is really going to save you guys quite a bit of time doing this. Lastly, you might notice when you're doing your rounds that some accounts are, when they're reporting done, they're reporting something like done at username 1, engaged with at username 2. So it might say something like done at Billionaire Mafia, engaged with at Millionaire Mafia, or done with at Hustler's Motivation, engaged with at Travel Lion. Well, here's what they're doing. They're dropping a small account, or say an account that they want to build, but they're giving the engagement, they're giving out the likes, they're using a different account to give the engagement. So say for example, I wanted to build Travel Lion, but I wanted to engage from Millionaire Mafia. I would drop Travel Lion in all of the round groups, but I wouldn't have it in Follow Liker. I'd have Millionaire Mafia in Follow Liker to give likes to Travel Lion. A lot of people will do this where they use a bigger account that they own or that they've bought to give engagement to a smaller account that they want to build, and they use the bigger account to get into a lot of the groups that require 50K followers or more, or 100K followers or more, or the auto bots, where we're going to talk about our 0 to 100K strategy in the next video. So a lot of people will use bigger accounts that they own to give likes to a small account that they want to build. And see, once again, like I've talked about earlier, when you're getting engagement from high authority accounts, especially in your niche, it helps boost their following. So that's where I've done stuff like that with accounts like Travel Lion, where I am building an account like this, giving engagement from a 144K account that I have, and I use that 144K account to get into the big groups and to get auto likes. And I use my 0 to 100K strategy, where you learn to grow a few hundred to a few thousand followers per day. So you can grow 100K followers in anywhere from 30 to 90 days. And it all comes down to knowing how to do this. And once again, I don't expect that you become an expert overnight. If I had started an account from scratch 7 months ago, compared to what I know now, I would be able to grow twice the followers twice as fast now compared to what I knew back then, because I'm going, okay, I got my logo set up, I've got my engagement group set up, I know exactly how to drop in Telegram, I know exactly how to get and seek engagement, I know exactly how to network my comments, I know exactly what type of viral content I need, I know all the elements. So right off the bat from day one, I can do this and I can get 10,000 something likes on a post, or I can get 5,600 likes or whatever this one did on a post. I can post another picture and get, 15,000 or 12,000 likes. I can post this picture and get whatever it did, 13,121 likes, and I can grow an account in like 5 days and have it at 4,100 followers. I can post a video that only happened, a few hours ago. It's got 9,875 views so far and 2,000 likes, and is gaining me hundreds of followers as we speak. So these are the exact methods, and what we're actually going to talk about in the next video. Now that you know how to automate your Telegram rounds, and now that you know how to automate your likes and comments for your direct message groups, we're going to talk about the 0 to 100K strategy, where you could be potentially growing in 30 to 90 days up to 100,000 followers very quickly. So we'll see you in the next video, and we're going to talk about our 0 to 100K strategy.